Good afternoon and welcome. My name's Keith Belford. I'm the Director of Marketing Communications for the Wild Sheep Foundation. We're coming to you live from our base camp studio, which is located in the Reno Sparks Convention Center. And this is the first afternoon of the Sheep Show, which opened this morning. I'd like to thank our partners at Yeti for helping us get this all put together. This is our second seminar today, and this one's titled I'll Never Draw a Tag. But there is hope and a pathway. We thought this would be a vitally important seminar, considering I know me personally, several years ago I started sticking my nose into applications, drawings, different states, different units, preference points, bonus points, to the point where my head was about to explode with all the information, all the different deadlines, different application challenges, and so on and so forth. So we asked our good friends at Huntin Fool to kind of dissect this whole system. They've been at this for 26 years. They offer membership services in a lot of different areas, but assisting with applications, how to apply, where to apply, actually taking that process over for you so you don't have to. We've got full-time hunt advisors here from Huntin Fool, Austin Atkinson, and Robert Hanneman, and they are going to unravel this mystery for us. So gentlemen, appreciate you being here, and take it away.
Thank you, Keith. Well, we look forward to sharing a little bit of knowledge that hopefully can help you obtain more tags, go on more hunts. It's not an easy game that we play, but we love it. I'll cue up our slide here. My name's Austin Atkinson. I live in Cedar City, Utah, work for Huntin Fool full-time, and I also work part-time as a sheep guide up in Alaska. That's kind of my out, if you will, to get me out of the office. I'm married with 6 children under the age of 10, so I have a lot going on at home, but I hope that they can someday hunt sheep and get out more. That's my goal, and that's why I love working at Huntin Fool, to help people find opportunities and find their dreams. Robert?
My name's Robert, and I've been working for the Huntin Fool for 10 years now, and being passionate about drawing tags has always been huge for me. I was actually born and raised in Fernley, which is about 30 minutes from here. And growing up in Nevada, you had to draw every single tag. You couldn't have really any over-the-counter tag except a lion tag. So like early on at 12, I was like, how do I draw tags? How do I go hunting? And so that kind of got me into it. And then it progressed into where I am today. So I have 3 boys, half the kids Austin has. My kids are 16, 14, and 13. And he guides sheep in Alaska. I guide my 3 boys all over the West. And they're not good tippers, but man, they sure hunt me hard every year. So my favorite thing, for me, or my time with my boys, is drawing great tags, because we can go hunt general units, and those sometimes don't turn into anything good, but if I can apply them for great tags, and as you can see from the slide, one of my boys has drawn a desert sheep tag. And we went down to Arizona, and he was 15 years old and killed a big ram. So there is a chance to draw tags. It's never too late. And that's what, we love about our job, is we get to help people go on better hunts, draw tags, buy tags, and have great adventures.
So let's talk about a couple of our common questions we receive at the Huntin Fool. Get that slide up there. Common questions. This comes up all the time, and undoubtedly somebody here or somebody watching has had one of these questions before, right? When do I have enough points to draw this tag? Should I apply? Should I just buy, right? Should I start applying my kids early? Will they ever draw a tag? What about raffles? Is it really worth the money to put into raffles, or should I not? And how long do I have to play this game? Right? It can be, we're not gonna try to share all the gloomy, sad stuff about the draw, but we are gonna expose some of that to make sure you have the right information and that you're being told the accurate truth.
Those are questions we get every day on the phone. We'll take those calls every day, and this is just a great time to try to share that with a bunch of people. There's different draws, like Austin's going to go into right now, that even if you're 50 years old and just starting, you still have as good a chance as we do in those same states. So Austin will go through some of our draws.
So the very basics, and for some of you this will be super simple, but for some of you that maybe misunderstand it, we want to talk about a little bit difference in the types of draws that we have out west. From random draws, bonus point draws, preference point draws, and blended draws, and they all mean something different. And so when you build your strategy and decide which states you should apply in, you've got to know if it's worth it to play based on the draw odds. Random draws are getting all more common. Those are states that just throw you in the hat. It doesn't matter if you've applied 20 years or your first year, everybody's equal. It's becoming more and more attractive, especially to the younger generation that wants to start applying and have a shot even though they haven't been in it 20 years. Bonus point draws, those make us feel better, right? Like Nevada draws, because you get extra chances in that draw. You're never guaranteed. So imagine a bonus point draw as there is no finish line where you'll be guaranteed a draw, but there's a better chance. Some states it's an exponentially growing chance every year that you apply. It's gonna get better, but there is no end, right? Preference point draws are the exact opposite. Those are where we draw from the top down. Those who have the most points that apply are gonna get the permits before everybody else. There is essentially no random chance in those draws, or very, very small. It's a preference. And then blended draws, right? We have those and they're different in every state. Arizona, for example, is gonna give 20% of the permits to the guys with the most points, and 80% is gonna go random. You go down to Wyoming, it's almost the exact opposite. We give more to preference points and less to random. So keep that in mind when you hear someone say, hey, you should apply for this state or that state. Make sure you understand what kind of draw they're talking about before you commit yourself to applying there.
There's a few states that allow you to apply for something that you have no chance of drawing. And that's where you need to be informed, because like we'll just take Arizona, for example. If there's one sheep tag there, that's a resident only. Well, every year, 500-600 people that are non-residents will apply for them, and they had a 0% chance of drawing. So Arizona doesn't, tell you can't do that. They're gonna let you do it, but you have no chance. So that way, you wanna be educated when you go into all these draws to give yourself a better chance of actually getting a tag.
That's right. Okay, let's talk about this very sad table that I've put together. We're all here because we like sheep. We like wild sheep. We want to hunt them someday. So we call this our sheepish truth, right? Do you need to be rich to hunt sheep or just be lucky? Well, this table is an example of last year, how many permits were actually given out. We've all heard, hey, if you start playing the sheep game now, maybe you'll get a sheep tag someday. Well, the maybe is the key word there, because not everybody's gonna get one, right? So looking at this, we're talking all the states in the West that have desert bighorn sheep. There's only gonna be up to 55 total non-resident tags given out. It's probably lower than the number you may have thought. Rocky sheep, only up to 98 total non-resident Rocky tags. You can see Washington is inflating our numbers a little bit because they don't have a resident, non-resident draw. So next time you tell your wife, hey, I'm gonna draw a sheep tag, keep letting me play this game. Remember, we're talking about 187 tags a year for bighorn sheep in the western states go to non-residents. It's a very, very small number. That sounds kind of sad, doesn't it?
It does sound a little sad. And it's true. I mean, like we talks about the desert sheep, half of those tags come in Nevada. So like if you are after desert sheep, Nevada's gonna be the first state you wanna apply for. Why? Because it's got over half the tags. What's next? Arizona. So same thing, if you're gonna take your money and put it somewhere, put it to the states that are gonna give you the best chance of getting those tags.
Let's move on a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna give you my sad example, and this is my sob story about sheep. So.
Let me stop you real quick.
Okay.
He has killed 3 sheep. Go ahead.
I wanna kill a desert bighorn ram, okay?
Who doesn't want to kill a desert bighorn ram?
So my best shot is Arizona. I was raised there. I have a lifetime license. So I count in the draw as a resident. I have 26 bonus points going into the draw last year. It's the most I can have at my age. Even though I have 26 points, and currently it draws at 32, simple math would say, I've got just a few years left and I'll draw. But if you look at everybody in the draw with more bonus points than me, they have more preference, there's 1,390 people with more points than me. Okay, we're giving out, on average, 24 tags a year to the guys with the most points. So I will draw, as soon as I'm in my 90s, I will be guaranteed to draw. 57 years from now, I will be in the max point pool. It's crazy, right, to think about that. Like 57 more years, but I got 26 points. And the guy who drew this year has 32 points. Just that little gap from 26 to 32 is 57 years under the current system. There's a lot of misconceptions about this.
It's one of those things too where I hate to say it, but of all those people ahead of him, and we can even bounce over to Wyoming where they give a lot of the tags, more people are dying a year than are drawing tags. So, I mean, that's the sad truth. There's more guys dying than are drawing tags. And again, Austin, if he was 6 years older, he'd be sitting good, but he was born too late.
I was born too late. So what are the best ways to draw a really good tag? Back to this, you have 100% chance of drawing a good tag someday. If you start applying young, you don't miss a year, and you never die, you will draw a tag someday in these preference point states. If you don't plan on living to be 130 years old, you need to possibly draw a tag in your life, and that's don't miss a year, apply everywhere you can, apply in the raffles, and still don't die. Right? That's kind of our takeaway from this.
So my sad example is not too sad. I've not killed a sheep. I'm 42 years old. I started applying when I was 12 here in Nevada. I've got 26 to probably points in Nevada. I've got, I think, 21 or 22 in Arizona. And I've got points strung out across the West. I've never drawn a sheep tag. So go back in history, my senior year of high school, good friend, Fernley, Nevada, Cole Mortensen. Well, he decides, I'm going to buy sheep hunts. I just want to be a sheep hunter. And I'm like, I want to hunt everything. Like, I want to hunt every single thing there is, so I got to apply for every tag in the world, because someday I want to go hunt a javelina in Arizona or wherever else. So he goes, I'm going to take my money that you are going to spend buying all these licenses, application fees, and everything else. I'm going to invest it. He's definitely a smarter guy than me. And he's like, I'm going to go sheep hunting. Well, today Cole has 5 rams. I have 0. But I've got great big bulls, moose, buffalo, everything else on the wall. I don't have any sheep. I'm that guy that when I look at the Nevada draw statistics, 95% of the guys that draw every year are less points than me. You know, and I'm just like, I told my wife, we're from Nevada, we live in Montana now. I'm like, when we finally retire, we're moving back to Nevada with 55 desert points each, and we're gonna draw some sheep tags. So if I can live that long to retire and come back to Nevada, I will be drawing some sheep tags. So with this, you got 2 options to look at. You either buy hunts and just book a hunt, start making payments on it, and go on a sheep hunt. We've all seen what the prices have done the last 10 years. They're absolutely just straight up. So, and the sheep populations, it's the cool thing. It's exciting to be a sheep hunter. Everybody wants to be a sheep hunter. Well, you know what? If there was only 7,000 mule deer in the US and there was hundreds of thousands of sheep, we'd be having a mule deer foundation right now. We'd be talking about mule deer. There's so few sheep, and we all want them, that's why this is. So they are a super special animal, but there's so few of them, and they manage them so well, we all want to hunt them. So yep. I will say that, I have not killed a sheep, but I probably have more unpunched sheep tags than everybody in this room combined.
We'll talk about that. So back to the buy. On the Huntin Fool website, we track these auction tags carefully. When you look at the price of hunts in Canada, Mexico, especially for bighorns, sometimes an auction tag is a good way to go. And it's a lot of money. It's a huge investment. I like to look at it as a conservation donation with a perk. You get a tag as well, and you get to go kill a sheep. It's a great way to do it, but if you're not looking at spending 6 figures on your first sheep hunt, it's probably not the way to go. That's just the truth of it. So let's jump from the most expensive, Robert, 6-figure sheep hunts, sheep tags, to probably the cheapest way to go sheep hunting.
Probably. So a lot of people don't know this, some of them do, and Montana has unlimited sheep tags, and they've had these for years. And what it is we have some areas in Montana, there's 5 of them currently, where we have native sheep populations that live in some of the nastiest country there is. And it's just north of Yellowstone. Some of these rams are migrating out of Unit 1 in Wyoming or the park. And so Montana has a quota system set up where we can buy a sheep tag over the counter and you can go sheep hunting. And this is what I've done essentially for the last 20 years. And been with buddies that have killed nice rams. I've passed a couple rams that were just barely legal, but I gotta wait 7 years when I pull that trigger. I enjoy it so much. When I kill a ram, it's gonna be the ram I wanna kill. And I get to go do it every year. So it's kinda like I know I'm gonna be going to do this every year. So how it's set up is on a quota system. They have 2 rams per unit, and then you have to check in your sheep. Once the second ram is killed, 48 hours later, they're gonna close the season. Montana doesn't have any of the crazy wilderness rules like Wyoming does. So everybody can go hunt these sheep. You buy a tag, you can go. They're physical hunts. There's a few outfitters in these units, but every single year, there's 10 to 12 rams that are killed in the unlimited units. And if you go in there and you work hard, you're gonna find sheep. You're gonna see a lot of grizzly bears too, but you're gonna have a good time. So for me, this is a great way to go sheep hunting every single year. And there is a ton of guys walking this floor that have killed unlimited rams. And honestly, I think to me, I would rather shoot a 160 10-year-old ram in the unlimiteds than a 195 ram standing off the highway in the Missouri breaks. That's just me personally. I mean, I enjoy the challenge, I enjoy the country we hunt them in, and everything else. So the unlimiteds are super special. Everybody can do it. It's $1,250 for non-residents. It's $125 for residents. I buy my tag every year. Depending on what unit you want to go into, they have different season dates. They're all around the park. A couple of the units, the sheep are coming out of the park, and you're waiting to hunt them, like 300 and 303, the boundary of those 2 units. Those sheep typically live in the park. Park sheep are doing really well right now. There's some big rams. And then as the winter progresses, those will come out. We're in 300, it's kind of a rocky divide. Those sheep kind of bounce back and forth. As long as someone doesn't get too gung-ho and go blow them all into the park, guys will kill rams. You can see sometimes that goes to a 0. Units 500 and 501, those are units I love. There's sheep that live in those units year round. You can go in and you can find sheep. You can spend time in there and you're gonna find sheep. You can get a few more rams that come out of the park, but for the most part, the sheep are there. Sometimes they'll close on September 15th. Sometimes, like you'll see, they go till November. I've snowshoed in there and literally, we've done things to kill sheep that you probably never even dream of. But I mean, that's what you wanna do when you get to hunt the unlimiteds. 502 is a unit where a lot of those sheep are coming out of the park, or they're coming out of Unit 1 in Wyoming, and they're coming over and they're essentially migrating through there, and they're gonna kill them in November. So how I got started on the unlimited sheep hunt is, a couple of people in here will probably remember Duncan Gilchrist. Duncan Gilchrist wrote a lot of books. I moved from Nevada to Montana in 1999 because I wanted more hunting opportunity. I seen the writing on the wall. I wasn't gonna draw a deer tag in Nevada every year, so I was like, I gotta go somewhere unlimited over-the-counter tags. So I knew I had Montana and Idaho. Well, I'm a young kid, I'm 20 years old, I don't know anybody. I'm reading Duncan's book and I look in the front of it and it says Corvallis, Montana. And I'm like, that's just down the road from me. So I got on the old phone book, I mean, people remember those things, called him up and I said, hey Duncan, this is Robert Hanneman. He goes, hey, how can I help you? And I said, can I take you to lunch? And he goes, what? And I said, listen, I'm a 20-year-old kid from Nevada. I've chased deserts and Californians like crazy. I really just want to come talk to you. And he goes, you buying? I said, yeah, I'm buying. So I went down and had lunch with Duncan. And me and Duncan got to go and film some rams in the East Fork, and I got to spend a little bit of time with him. And then he goes, you should be doing the unlimiteds. He goes, it'd be perfect for you. And I was like, I don't know anything about them. And he goes, here's all my maps. And he gave me all his maps of the unlimiteds. And they still got his handwriting on them, Dunk camped here and everything else, and it was super special. Well, that was unit 303. I learned that's not the unit I like to hunt. So I moved on to 500 and 501, but that's what started the passion, was an old sheep hunter like that. He passed away, unfortunately, before I really got into hunting the unlimiteds and sharing knowledge with him, but the unlimiteds get in people's blood. And people think, man, I'm not gonna kill a ram. Well, I can name a couple groups of guys, I'm not gonna call them out by name, but 3 or 4 of them that got together and said, we're gonna kill unlimited rams. And in 5 or 6 years, all of them did. Because they just go in there and they hunt their guts out and they invest 2 weeks every single year. And they're not gonna quit and they're not gonna do anything and they're all helping each other. So it can be done. A lot of people look at this and they're like, I have better odds of drawing a sheep tag. Well, you do if you drive to the trailhead and you look and you're like, this country's way too big, and they leave. That's what 90% of people do. But if you're willing to go in there and you're willing to invest 10 days and you do that for 3 or 4 years, you're going to find a ram. You might not get a shot at him, he might be in the timber, but you're gonna see sheep. So if you wanna go all in on this, and let's say tag's $1,200, travel, you're into $2,000, you do that for 5 years, That's way less than 6 figures to hunt these other sheep. And I'll tell you what, if you kill a ram in the unlimiteds, it's a feather in your cap. Everybody in here respects those people because they work their guts out for it. So it's something special. It's something you can do. You don't have to always just chase the draw. So don't hunt my unit. You got a question?
Well, yeah, actually, it's me again. I forgot to say, if anybody has any questions along the way here, just prompt me and I'll give you the mic. This might be an unfair question for you guys, but why don't do other states have unlimiteds, and if so, why not?
No, so other states don't have them. And Montana has kind of bounced back and forth with it a few times. There's a phenomenal biologist, Sean Stewart. He's been there like 35 years, and he's fought to keep this open. There's times where Montana's like, man, if we just go to a draw, then we don't have to deal with this. But they're making a crap load of money. They're selling roughly 500 tags, a lot of those to non-residents. So it's a moneymaker. I mean, that's what Montana's doing. It's a moneymaker. I hope it never goes away. I'm afraid someday it will. There was a bill going through a couple years ago where they wanted to make it, if you killed a ram, it was once in a lifetime. Well, maybe in a draw unit, but the unlimiteds, I don't necessarily agree with that. So, but I will tell you from, 01, 02, when I started hunting these till now, the tag numbers have doubled. But again, a lot of guys will get together, they'll go hunting, they'll show up at the trailhead, and they're like, this is way bigger than it was on Google Earth. You see that grizzly bear over there? I'm out of here. And that kind of stuff, it's awesome. But I mean, it's an adventure. You're gonna see mountain goats, you're gonna see bears, you're hunting the tops of the 88 Yellowstone burn. I mean, you're hunting the wildest country there is. And like I said, that picture right there, the snow doesn't look deep there, but we'd snowshoed in, for 6, 8, 10 miles from where we left the horses. And funny story, we get up on that ridge, and I had my bow, because I figured no one else is smart enough to be in here. And we ran into Adam Foss, trying to hide in the timber in his Sitka. It stood right out, so we were like, hey. So there's a lot of guys that are hunting it. It's amazing. It's not for everybody. And the outfitters in there, I'd hate to be an outfitter in there, because you got competition like me, competition like Austin, and a bunch of other awesome hunters in here pounding that country. So the outfitters, I mean, there's some stellar guys in there, and I'd say 20% of the rams killed a year come from the outfitted clients. But I mean, you're hunting against a bunch of hardcore young guys that want to be sheep hunters.
A couple notes on that. When you're applying for the unlimited, say you have points in Montana for sheep. You're like, I don't want to burn them on this unlimited over-the-counter tag he talks about.
I'll take them all.
Yeah. You can get that permit. So even though it's over-the-counter, you still have to buy it or apply for it before May 1st. So it does take some planning. You can't just show up in South Central Montana and buy the permit. You need to plan before May 1st, commit to doing it that year. That's kind of how you get the tag.
And I have a pile of points for sheep, but I've never really applied for sheep. Because if you buy the tag, not through the draw, like just on their website, like you'd buy a bear tag, you can still buy a point that year. So you can still accumulate points, even though you have the tag. If you get the tag through the draw, you cannot do that. So, I mean, there's 5 units, you can pick one of them and essentially just go sheep hunting. But again, sometimes guys might be like, I'm gonna wait to hunt, 500 or 501 late. I'm gonna wait till those sheep push out. The season could end. There's a number you can call, and we've all got in-reaches in there, so you can find out if the quota's open or the quota's closed. But the other cool thing is you'll see some years, like this year, there were supposed to only be 2 rams killed, 4 rams got killed. Well, what happened was once that second ram is killed and then called and turned in, they start a 48-hour clock. So, I talked to some hunters, it was the saddest thing I've ever had to tell these guys. I literally felt bad. So they went in there, they knew that there was 1 ram killed. They came over a ridge, there's 3 of them, and there's 3 beautiful legal rams. And they Rochambeau'd, and the one guy won, and he shot the ram. They didn't realize they could have killed them all. Because until the season closes, the hunt is still on. So like that second ram started the 48-hour closure, and then 2 more rams were killed before the season actually closed. So like if there were 6 of us and there were 6 rams, we could shoot them all if they were legal. That's the big thing, if they're legal. And they got to be 3/4 curl.
Neat opportunity.
Yeah, it's fun.
Really
I'm passionate about it. I love it. I just like seeing stuff. I'm not lucky enough to draw 2 breaks tags like the guy in the front row, so I'm going to keep hunting the unlimiteds.
So let's jump over to some other species here. What we like to do at the Huntin' Fool, every strategy is different. And I can't give you my cookie cutter strategy and say, this is for you, because it's dependent on your goals, your age, your fitness, your budget, everything that goes into it. We'd like to give you a couple examples that'll hopefully get the gears turning and you can come up with a better question for us on how we can help you. Robert's always talking about hunting elk every year. How do I hunt elk every year? Is that even a thing anymore? And it really is. But you have to be willing to either hunt smaller bulls, new areas, or some of these other states. You gotta branch out. If you're sitting there applying for Arizona and Utah and just waiting for your ticket to come due, it could be a very, very long wait. So let's look somewhere else. Wyoming, for example, you can get a general elk license every 3 to 4 years right now is what it takes. Utah, we still have over-the-counter, truly over-the-counter archery elk tags. Okay, now you have to hunt spike bulls on some units, but you get to be around the biggest bulls in the state, some of our best trophy units, see what it's like, see how the rut is, or you can hunt in primarily wilderness or private land dominated units and shoot any bull. So there's opportunities out there. Idaho, you have to plan early and buy those tags December 1st of the year prior. Some of you probably haven't even thought about getting a general elk tag yet, when it was over a month ago when you needed to do that. So there's opportunities out there. We just have to plan early and be willing to branch out. Don't just be sitting on your points waiting to go there someday. Go there for another reason. You got a question there, Keith?
For example, there in Wyoming, what's the difference between saying the general elk license and then drawing? Because like I said, I've been drawing for the last 4 years in Wyoming for elk, and I still haven't gotten drawn for the area that I put in for.
So in Wyoming, it's gonna work the same. Elk points are elk points in Wyoming. The general license is what a resident can buy over the counter, and he can go hunt. For a non-resident, you must draw that. And it's the same as those limited entry units. So if you're waiting to draw a trophy unit per se, and it's gonna take you 10 more years, by the time you get there, it could creep away from you. So the general license is easier to draw. It's gonna draw between 3 and 4 points, and that allows you to hunt a bunch of different units that are not under the limited entry zones, if you will. So that's a decision you can make based on where you want to go, which outfitter you want to hire, because they take some great bulls with this general license. But if you did get the general license, it would purge all of your elk points, and you would have to start over at 0.
Okay, but like say, for example, the area that I put in for Wyoming, area 62.
Okay.
I put in for that area, like I said, I've got like 4 or 5 points there right now.
Yep.
Okay, if I draw there, say this year or something, because I bought the, I forgot what, you have the general, which you pay general for like $800, $850 for a non-resident, or you pay $1,200
For the
and
special.
special when you up your
Yep.
chances there. So, but like if I draw this year, next year, would I be better off than just start putting in for general?
Honestly, at 4 or 5 points, you're better off putting into general. You're going to chase 62 for the rest of your life, and I'm being brutally honest. It's a 1% draw for you right now.
I've
And
already
it's
gotten
gonna-
it twice.
You've done it twice?
Yes.
Yes, you drew it on max points, and then you shot the moon twice.
I've gotten 2 bulls and a cow out of there.
Yeah, so you killed the one bull when you had max points, probably, and then you drew another one at random. So you're getting lucky and you're beating that random odds of 1%. So most guys, if you're in that 3 to 6 point tier, are gonna go hunt the general. Because how Wyoming works is there was 114,000 people that started out in the point game or have points right now. And they're only given so many tags, and a lot of those units are still max. 62, a lot of guys love it because it's non-wilderness, so you can go hunt that, compared to 61, which is 3 or 4 points earlier, you can draw because of the wilderness law. So I burned my max points, and then I started point riding people, where you have max points, and it's like, hey bud, let's go hunting, let's draw and keep doing that. And then now I'm to the point where I'm just hunting the general every time I can get enough points. Because I know that if I wanted to go for 31 or 22 or 124 and not being in the max point pool, I'm just chasing my tail the rest of my life. And for me, I want to hunt Wyoming as often as possible. And if I can hunt it every 3 to 4 years, the general units are the most underrated unit there is. And if the wilderness law was gone, I would be hunting it every single year, because there are some giant bulls that live there. So you can get lucky. You can look at any publication and see what the draw odds are. I'm guessing it was 1% in the regular, maybe 2 in the special last year for 62, this is Nevada, it's gambling. Throw in for it. You got nothing to lose, but you're not gonna catch it on points again. I don't think, at 4 or 5. Okay. We can talk later. I can talk in Wyoming all day long. Yeah.
Mule deer, if we jump over there, we'll just touch on a few things here. Colorado has some awesome mule deer. And if you're not hunting Colorado, you're either waiting for something you're probably not going to catch, or you're missing the boat by not hunting in Colorado. There's hunts that you can draw with 1 or 2 points, and there's hunts that are taking 28 points right now to draw. Because it's a preference draw, you can see where you fit and plan that. But Colorado has a chance to throw really good deer out of any unit, anytime.
And I like Colorado for the reason of the weather. Snow kills big bucks in Colorado. I would rather have a 1-point unit on a big snow year than a 20-point unit like this year where you're hunting in a t-shirt in November. So I want to hunt Colorado as often as possible. If I can hunt it every other year, I'm going to hit more of those years with better snow conditions. So that's just me personally.
Yeah. If you are willing to go archery, Nevada obviously is a great state. There's some pretty easy to draw. And keep in mind, we look at a lot of these states from a non-resident perspective. So you don't live there. If you live in some of these states, that could change your strategy, and there's more tags available, of course. Wyoming, still your best opportunity if you don't have a lot of points are going to be the general regions, which are over the counter for residents, but non-residents take just a couple of points to draw. But don't wait just for the best. Don't try to build enough points. If you're at the low point category right now, you just need to go and hunt Wyoming, one of the general regions.
And if you're looking at these 5 states and you can only do 1 deer hunt a year, I'd start out in December 1st and see if I got the Idaho tag I wanted. If I didn't, then I would look at my points. And if I get the one I want, then I'm gonna build a point in Colorado and build a point in Wyoming. And then that way that on the other years, I can kind of get a rotation where I'm gonna hunt all 5 of these states every 5 years. So that way I'm hunting some better units. So Montana, 2 to 3 points with the change, is probably gonna be what it's for non-residents to draw. So you're gonna have that in there. Maybe you like hunting Region H in the high country, you're gonna draw that every 2 or 3 years, get that in the rotation. Maybe find a good 1 or 2 point unit in Colorado, throw that in the rotation, and then you look at all these other states that we're talking about, and, because not everybody wants to hunt 4 or 5 deer tags a year. I mean, I ate 4 of them this year. This year was terrible for mule deer. But, it's one of those things where, just like the elk we talked about, if you take 4 or 5 states, you can build a strategy where you're hunting every single year, like Wyoming, the general, and get someone to build points with you. Point bank, point share, you get 4 or 5 buddies together and everybody's building elk points. You can hunt the general every single year. So you're hunting with this guy, then the next year this guy, and just riding their points all the way around. So, there's ways that you can hunt more often. You just got to tweak the system.
So a lot of people come to Huntin Fool, to our booth here at the show. They call our office, they find us on the street, wherever it may be. And this is their question. Is it worth me starting to apply now that I'm behind the curve? We're all behind the curve somewhere. You started too late, you missed a state, you lost your points, whatever it may be. Should I start applying? That's the big question.
I honestly think it all depends on the person. Had a gentleman walk in this morning, he's 65 years old, and he's like, I really need a Rocky. What state should I be applying for? And I said, well, let's look at the ones with no preference points. New Mexico, you got the same odds as I do that I've applied there 25 years. Idaho, you got the same odds as me. Oregon, you got the same odds as me. So he left excited. It wasn't like I'm like, hey man, we're gonna go the long haul, and when you get 28 points, we're gonna draw. It's different for every single person. And I think that, the states that are totally random are good for everybody. On the years, that I don't, say I've shot my application budget by putting my wife and kids in everywhere, maybe I miss one of those states because it's just too much to put on there. I'm not falling behind the curve. I'm not losing points, so I'm kind of a guy that, say if you were, older and you didn't really want to get in the point game and didn't see it happening for you, maybe I would use that application budget more towards raffles, like these kind of raffles that are here, in these states that have, every state has a raffle, $5 to $50, and I'm not saying drop a lot of money in there, because my wife would kill me, but I make sure I have one name in every single raffle there is. That's just me personally, because I want that extra chance. So I'm gonna give $5 to Montana Super Tag. I'm gonna give, some to the Montana or to the Dream Tag in Nevada. So I'm gonna have my name in every single hat. plus all the random tags. So that's what I would talk about if someone was at the end of their hunting career, where like, you know, kids coming up, things like that, man, we're gonna hammer hard building points. Hopefully they're gonna live a long time. They're not gonna die till they're 130 and maybe draw a tag. But sheep tags are the hardest things there are to draw, hands down, you know, but I think, you know, there's as many raffle tags issued. If we take the Sheep Foundation, the Salt Lake one, the raffles Huntin Fool does, the raffles everyone else does, there's more sheep hunts raffled than there was all 187 state tags issued. So I'm not saying drop a lot of money, but especially the state raffles, that money goes to conservation. Give Montana some money, give Arizona some money, give New Mexico some money, you know. So Alaska, everyone, just if you really want to hunt sheep, apply everywhere, you know, but it's all based on your budget and your age, and just figure out what you want to do. But we can have those one-on-one calls, and that's what we do at the booth, and that's what we do on the phone. And again, talk to Austin. He's killed 3. I haven't killed 1.
Couple tips I'll throw you on this next slide. Sometimes we like to use the draw system to really make it good for our benefit. Looks like we're getting it up there. Couple states, like we talked about, point sharing. If you have a relative or a friend that lives in Arizona, Wyoming, Nevada, or Utah, you need to be building points for them. Okay, so for example, I have grandparents that live in Arizona. They don't want to hunt, but I buy them a hunting license every year and I build points for them, because Arizona allows you to transfer your tag down to a child or grandchild that's under 18.
That desert sheep, I gotta cut him off. The desert sheep my son was holding, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, you know, lived here in the Reno area. They retired to Arizona like 5 years ago, and they'd hunted when they were younger. And I looked at the numbers and I thought, before my boys age out, if I apply them, will they draw any tags? And I said, yes, they'll draw late rifle elk tags, and they'll draw early, probably kaibab deer tags. So I'm like, it's worth the money, hun. We're putting your parents in, we're buying them licenses, and we're applying. Well, of course, I'm gonna throw in for sheep, and I'm gonna throw in for antelope and things like that. Well, in the 3rd year, Grandpa drew a desert sheep tag. And then Grandpa had a hard decision, which grandkid do I love the most? And I helped him along and gave it to the oldest, because the other 2, I wasn't sure how they do on the hunt. But, you know, you can do special things like that. I'm jumping ahead, but Oregon, I drew an antelope tag after 21 years. I was wanting something 85, totally spoiled. Yep, I'll agree. Went in there, hunted my guts out for 9 days. Took my middle boy with me. We didn't find what I was looking for, and we hunted our guts out. And I said, you know what, son? If you don't complain, and you hunt as hard as I do, and you glass as hard as I do, if I don't find what I want, you can shoot my antelope. On the last day, he shot my antelope on a tag that took me 21 years to draw. And, you know, it was awesome. But cool things that states allow you to do. So, I mean, I don't know if I could give a sheep tag up to a grandkid. I don't know about that, but there's people out there that can.
Yeah, check where your family members live. For Wyoming, put in everybody. So I build points for my wife, knowing that when I purge my deer points and go back to 0 hunting Wyoming, I'm going to average her points, and we'll go in as a party. That'll bring me up from 0 to the average, and we could potentially draw another hunt. So think about non-hunters, maybe ones that aren't as serious, apply them.
That's what he just
points.
said. I can't ride my wife's points. I've been threatened with divorce. So like, make sure if you're building points for somebody, they're gonna let you ride their points. My wife will not.
She's not gonna let you. Okay, so is hunting a rich man's sport? This comes down to it. Yes, it can be. Right, it is. There's a lot of money that's going to be spent here at this show. There's a lot of landowner tags out there. Most landowner tags are double the price of what they were just 2 years ago. Things are out of control. But we try not to get discouraged at the Huntin Fool. We don't have giant hunting budgets, but we get to find a lot of neat opportunities. Over-the-counter tags, easy to draw tags. My point is, life is short, time is very short, and if you're not hunting every year and you don't have the tags you want, it's honestly your fault. I want you to come and get the resources, let us help you, and let's go on some hunts. Let's get your kids on some hunts, and let's plan so that you can go hunting.
I can fill my schedule from September to November every year with over-the-counter or guaranteed draw tags. I mean, from all the different states that are out there, from Arizona to, you know, Idaho getting on it early. There's so much opportunity that it's sad to me when a guy calls in the Huntin Fool and goes, I haven't been on the hunt in 3 years because I haven't drawn a tag. It's like, I almost get too many tags every year, and end up eating them. There's more opportunity out there than you would ever imagine. But everybody wants to talk about these high profile, hard to draw tags. No one wants to talk about the over the counter because they're probably doing them and they don't want anyone else to know about them. So there's more opportunity than you know out there. Everybody should be able to go on a hunt every single year.
The biggest thing I can suggest is I want you to set this based on your budget. That's honestly the first question we cover when we talk to hunters that are trying to apply, trying to draw tags. Let's decide where you're willing to spend your money on your non-refundable fees per year. Are you willing to spend $500 out of pocket, $1,000, $2,000, and throw that money away? It's going to application fees and licenses. We'll work backwards off of your budget by best odds to worst odds, by long-term strategy to short-term, and try to fit that in. Don't just apply and pick a state because your friend told you it was cool or that it was good or they're doing it. Let's look at how much you want to spend out of pocket and make sure it works for you.
And if you're going to do a state like Nevada or Utah or Arizona that makes you buy a hunting license, take advantage of every species there. It's super cheap to add them on. Again, sad phone call I get, guy calls up, he's been a hardcore, mule deer hunter his whole life, drew his tag in Nevada after 20 years. And he says, man, I want to hunt sheep now. I'm like, well, how many sheep points do you have? None. So he could have had a sheep point every single year. And on sheep, don't ever do points only, ever, unless you're going to be out of country, because you're just throwing that $10 away. Always put in for a sheep tag. If you draw it, you can cancel anything, you can move anything. Don't do points only on sheep because the odds are so long. You're just taking your name out of the draw. That'd be like walking up to the raffle here and being like, hey, here's my $20 for this sheep raffle for the Doll sheep, but don't actually put my name in the hat. That's what you're doing. Don't do that. Always put in for sheep. Always, always, always.
Touch on raffles again. I know we talked about this, but a perfect example is the Washington, California bighorn sheep. If you're applying in Washington, it costs you as a non-resident over $110 just to apply. And you're looking about 1 in 1,200 odds. Pretty steep. When if you play in their raffle, say you live close to Washington, you can drive over and purchase your raffle tickets into the state California bighorn sheep raffle, you'd have 1 in 700 odds. That's a lot better odds, same amount of money.
One thing to throw on that, if you got a kid who has hunter safety, who's 10 to 15, it's $3.80 to put in for that tag. Yep. I bashed Washington harder than any other state there ever has been. And when my kids got to age, I started applying them. And my 12-year-old drew a mountain goat tag. And that tag cost me $55. If we had drawn our home state of Montana, it'd been $125. It was a tough hunt, but there's opportunities out there for kids. And some of this stuff, when we look at how much does it cost for a hunting license in Arizona for Austin? How much does it cost for a kid? $5. Build points for those kids. You never know, you might be able to ride their points later, or they might get into hunting. But just because it's expensive for you, there could be some great deals for your kids.
Yeah. I'll show you on this slide. This gives you an example of what we work with out of a backwards budget-based application strategy. Any hunt advisor can sit down with you virtually or in person and go down the species you're most interested in to fit within. This example is a $600 a year non-refundable application budget. We can fit that there where you're building points some places, you're in random draws in other places. Whatever that budget may be, assign some money to that and let's build a strategy so that you can draw more tags and go on more hunts. It really is a special experience to research a unit, get a tag, and go kill an animal. That's awesome. And even if it's not the trophy unit you started applying for maybe 20 years ago, let's draw a tag and let's go hunt.
Here's a plug too, and I'm just gonna plug Huntin Fool. We have what's called the members draw list. Let's say you're a guy that likes to do stuff do it yourself, and you do draw that special tag somewhere. You can call us, and we're gonna give you the phone numbers and emails to all the Huntin Fool members that have drawn that in the last couple of years. So say you're going into a Utah deer unit Austin was talking about, you can call in and talk to each one of us who's hunted it the most, but then you can talk to the guys that hunted it last year. And if the harder the tag to draw is, the way more information those guys are willing to give up.
So we hope we didn't give you too much information, right? We know that we deal a lot with statistics, with numbers, with draw odds and data, but we sure appreciate you listening And we'd love to hear and field any questions we can. If it's a more detailed question and you want to sit down with us, we're here all weekend.
We are. I appreciate you guys sitting here.
Thank you so much. Let's hear some questions. Does anybody have a question? Keith, you got a question?
Yeah, hey, wow. I was told there'd be no math. That was awesome, guys. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's a ton of information and a lot of things that I didn't realize about the over-the-counter tags, point sharing, youth stuff. I'll admit it, I was the guy that was, oh, I want that hunt and that hunt only. So these guys are pretty modest. Do stop by their booth. If you didn't pick up on it, these guys have this stuff wired. This is all they do. Been doing it for 26 years. Gentlemen, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having us, bud.
Is that it? Do we clap? Do we throw stuff?
That was really good.
Perfect.